Okay, I'm back, and we're gonna go on to Rebecca's next. Okay. I think you have some similar issues to what a lot of people are doing right now, which is like your ball seems to pick up speed in spots. You're doing pretty good at not having it ease in and ease out too much, so you're getting these pretty nice little bumps here, right, off of the wall. Um, and I think overall your ball loses energy as it continues to move forward, but it still feels like it picks up small amounts of energy. Um, right. So let's see. Like it feels like it picks it up right. There's one of them. So it feels like it hits the wall here, and then sort of picks up some energy right there. It kind of goes like the distance. Let's see if we can count them. So this is from here. There's it's sort of bouncing back and forth between the wall here, right? So if we go from this wall back and forth between these walls and this section, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Okay, so the next time it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that's a shorter amount of time, and it may just be by one frame, but I still feel that sort of in my subconscious that it got faster by one frame, and so it's just 8 frames versus 9 frames. But if it were um, you realize that that's an increase by like 12% or something like that. Like it's a it's because it's such a short amount of time that one frame makes a lot of difference. Now if it was like 500 frames versus 499 frames, we maybe wouldn't even really feel that. But because it's such a short amount of time, I feel that as it speeds up. And then from here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that one makes sense. That one slows back down again, but 1, 2, oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 again. Okay, so like I think that just needs to lose energy a little bit on each of those. So that number should be getting longer and longer, um, because it's taking more frames to travel that distance because it's moving slower. Um, Overall, though, I think your object is losing energy. It does feel like it kind of slows down a little bit right here before it gets to that wall. Um, Overall, it does feel like it's losing energy. You know, um, like at the end, it's not moving as fast as it is at the beginning, right? So you get this overall loss, but you need to make sure that it's a gradual loss from impact to impact too. Um, Otherwise, this is looking pretty good. I think a lot of your angles are looking good. I'm a little concerned about how many bounces it has because how much energy would it lose? You'd have to hit it pretty hard at the very beginning to get that many bounces. But I think it's looking pretty good otherwise. So I don't know. Once you get all the spacing figured out, it may still feel like it has a few too many bounces in here before, and so maybe it would lose some of that energy. Because what I think I would have done is maybe bounced it to here, maybe there, 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 and there. And so you got it going straight forward. Wait, does it go straight forward? I think it does, yeah. And so I can't see from this angle, but I also feel like there's a chance that this is bouncing at a 90-degree angle. And so I feel like when it hits this wall, it would bounce sort of straight back to that point that it hit. So I don't know. I would consider just kind of doing it like that. But that's me. So Robert, let's check this out. See how we're doing. Okay. So, a couple of small things. So at first it's feeling really good, but then somewhere through here, like I think it's as it gets close to here, it feels like it actually speeds up a little bit toward that wall. But then from there on out to the stop, that looks really good. It kind of feels like it curves a little bit. At first, I didn't mind it because it feels like maybe there's like a slight unevenness in the floor and the way that it slows down. But that might be something to address. Like it feels like it kind of bounces off the wall and is heading straight, but then it kind of curves in. Somehow you sold it, and it feels like it's just reacting to sort of ruts in the floor and stuff. But it may still work better if it were just going straight. Um, and then I think this hit needs to be a little bit sharper. And maybe what you do is you actually just let it wait for a few frames before you hit a few more frames before you hit it again. So maybe just increase that gap. Um, it ends before it goes all the way in, and I kind of like to see it just make it all the way into the hole, just so it kind of has that fruition thing. Yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, the speed up and then the zigzag, and then give it a little bit more time, and then maybe punch it just a little bit sharper right at the beginning. Maybe have it that first frame, maybe have it jump forward a little bit further. Oop, almost skipped Shelby. Open with QuickTime. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I feel like it slows down after the first. I don't know, really after that hit, it slows down quite a bit in between there, and then it kind of feels like it speeds up just a little bit more at the beginning there as it comes to a stop. So probably what I would do is have this just be a little bit more of a gradual slowdown. Like maybe it doesn't lose quite as much speed from here. It's still kind of traveling somewhat, but like it loses a little bit more there and a little bit more there, and that way this slow crawl toward the end will be a little bit more progressive feeling. And so like I think the neat thing is like from the beginning, it doesn't feel like it's going to go to the right place, right? It doesn't feel like it's ever going to make it. And then we get to this bounce here, and we're like, oh, it can make it. But then it stops so short. So I'd almost like to see it hit a little harder um, at the beginning. That way, like, it maybe even makes it all the way to, like, right here and then stops, like, and then just, like, sort of slowly stops, like, just inches from it. Because then it's like, oh, so close. At the beginning, too, this feels a little weird to me that it kind of hits here and then rides along the side before it hits there. And so my thinking is I would just set the ball here and just shoot it straight at the wall right there. And that way, it bounces there, 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 and there. And so you can get kind of a harder hit there, maybe even hit like right here. That way it kind of bounces to like right there, there, and then it kind of just straightens out a little bit. Um, that's my thinking because this part here feels a little. I don't know if I think it would hit the wall and slide on the side. I think it would probably hit it and bounce off at a sharp angle, and then it would probably just bounce back. So that would be my thinking is to just sort of angle it straight there. Um, and so then I guess what I'm trying to say is from there to there, there to there, there to there, and then try to end it there. I like that we. I just think I like that pattern that it makes because it feels like if you hit it here, like my first instinct is like watching it is like, oh, it's not going to make it. It's going to hit this instead. And then so it feels like, oh, it's just going to bounce around and do nothing productive. And then the fact that it kind of recovers halfway through and like right around through here, I realize, oh, it can still make it. And then like, oh, it's going to make it. And then it doesn't make it. And like, I think that that's a really neat expectation to play off of. So, Tanner. Okay, somebody else had this earlier where like it came to a stop and then somebody putted it again. And I think this is a good example. Like you gave it a little bit more breathing room, and then you kind of popped it forward um, at the right impact, and just enough to let it sort of settle in. So that's feeling good. The only problem I really have on this one is the angle it bounces off of here. Well, I won't say that's the only problem. That's my biggest problem right now. Is that it hits there, and then it kind of right now what it's doing is it's going to there. Okay. And so what I would expect is for it to bounce off more like toward here, right? To go this way, maybe hit like right there, right? But instead, it kind of does this, and so that feels a little strange to me. So I think there's a couple of things you could do. Um, One is you could just adjust the angle of this to where it would get you that ricochet, which means this would be kind of like that in some way or another. So I don't know how you would structure that, but maybe just build something that has that going on in it. Um, the other option is you could just try to bounce it straight through here, and you maybe get a little bit of a different pattern in here, but maybe it would just, then go like that and that, and sort of settle in there, and you're like, oh, that sucks. And then you hit it and knock it straight in. So that would be a nice, I don't know, I'd play around with that a little bit. Let's watch it one more time and sort of think about the energy. I think the energy is looking really good in this one, with the exception of this first hit. It feels like it loses a lot of energy right there. Um, so like it comes along, it's going really fast, and it loses almost like probably like half of its energy there. And then, I mean, I don't know, maybe even more because like the distance it travels through here, right? And then after it hits there, it's like that's a really small change. So I think I would have it lose just a little less of the energy there, and then that way you could have it lose about that much there, and it really starts to feel like it gradually loses all of it. I like that you get again like you get a little bit of a curving going on right here at the end, but somehow it's working. Like it doesn't work for everybody, and I don't necessarily know. It seems to work best as your ball is like slowly settling to a stop, and what it makes it feel like is maybe it's being affected by the fabric underneath of it, like the fake grass is like causing it to slightly change its path, and so it's working, but it really just seems to work when it's slowing down. So, and then I think this last putt is looking really good. I think that looks good. Um, okay, cool. Yeah, good work. And this is, let's see. So let's divide this one in half. Let's divide it from everything from here and before and here and after. So you have a couple of, I guess, technical issues going on with it right now, and that it does sort of the same thing that some of the others do, in that it like slowly starts to move here and then speeds up in the middle. Okay, and then it starts to slow down a little bit as it gets to this point. Same here, starts to slow down as it gets to this point. Speeds up, starts to slow down, and then speeds up, starts to slow down. And we get a little bit of a bending in it there. So the thing about this is like, again, as I've said with a few other people, really all the energy that is being imparted on this ball throughout this entire animation is just when it gets hit at the very beginning, right? The putter hits it at the very beginning. That's all the energy it should get, okay? Everything else is going to be it losing energy. So that means that from its first frame setting still to its first frame moving, that's going to be the biggest distance it's going to travel over a single frame. And then from there, it's going to slowly lose energy as it hits stuff, right? So I feel like that's not really happening. What's happening is that's not happening. What's happening is it's slowly moving here, and then the gaps are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as it gets closer to this wall, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so you see what's happening there is it feels like it's slowly starting to move, like it's starting to roll by itself, and it speeds up, but then it doesn't want to hit the wall too hard, so it slows down. And that's not really possible, unless it has a mind of its own and it's like a mouse or something running around on the floor here, then it wouldn't really do that. So that's the first half of it. And I feel like that's the biggest issue. That and a little bit of like curving in your arc. Like it feels like it kind of goes in a slight curve in a few spots, mainly right here. So there's that. And plus I feel like I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on these angles. Like if it's coming in at this angle, right? And this object is at that angle, I feel like it should bounce off that way, right? But instead, what it does is it bounces off that way. Yeah. And so the same here, I feel like it hits that surface at this angle. I would expect it to bounce off like that. But it kind of does a different angle. So those are the issues of the first half of it. Now the second half, when it gets to right about here, I think if it were traveling in a straight line toward that corner, when it hits that corner, it's going to bounce off here. But instead what it does is it kind of gets sucked into that corner and travels an arc around it like this, right? And so for that to happen, and I've kind of talked about this in a couple others, you kind of have to hit this arc on its edge, right? So like this one wouldn't really, like you would kind of have to head into it like this way to get that arc in there. Or like if we were looking at it from above, you'd have to hit it here, right? That would be the direction of the ball traveling right there for the ball to make it all the way around the curve like this. Right now, it's really just another flat surface if it's heading straight on at it, right? And so I think it would just bounce off this way. And so, the way you have it, we could probably fix it. We could probably make the arc a little different and make it loop around through there and just have it kind of coming in at like if the arc were shaped something like this, then maybe we could make that happen if you hit it at that corner, right? But then something weird happens. So we get to this corner and it should just keep traveling. Like it just went around this arc, right? It should just keep traveling off this way. But instead, it climbs down this hole. And so that's where it feels like it has a mind of its own, like it's able to just move on its own. So there's no real reason that I can tell of that it would do that. And then it kind of curves here and just sort of jumps in the hole again. So from here on, really from about here on, it starts feeling like it has a complete mind of its own, like it's not really obeying physics at all, and it's just kind of doing whatever it wants to. And so that's neat if we're going for a living creature, if we're trying to animate a living creature. But in this case, we're not. We're trying to animate an inanimate or a non-living ball that's bouncing around the screen because we hit it with a putt-putt club. So So hopefully that makes sense. So I think we've gotten everybody now. Let me double check, make sure there's no loose ones. Okay, so let me know if y'all have any questions, and keep up the good work. I'll talk to you soon.